She was in a movie so famous, people still watch it in college classrooms. But her real-life story stayed hidden until now. Leslie Parrish passed away this year at the age of 90, and behind her quiet final years was a love story most people never knew about. A story that involves a best-selling book, a mysterious soulmate, and a marriage that ended in a way nobody expected. Stay with me, because this story is more surprising than anything she ever filmed. Leslie Parrish started her career as a model before becoming an actress in the 1950s. Back then, she used her real name, Marjorie Helen, before changing it to Leslie Parrish a few years later. She went on to appear in more than 100 television shows and movies, including a role in The Manchurian Candidate, one of the most talked about films of 1962. She also appeared in Lil Abner, and even had a memorable role in the original Star Trek series. But while her acting career was growing, something else was happening in her personal life, something far more complicated than any role she ever played. Her first marriage happened early in 1955 when she married a songwriter named Rick Marlowe. That marriage lasted 6 years before ending in divorce in 1961. For years after that, Leslie focused on her career and her passion for activism, working on causes related to peace and social change during a time when the whole country felt divided. Then, in 1973, while filming a movie based on the book Jonathan Livingston's Seagull, she met the man who wrote it, an author and former airplane pilot named Richard Bach. Nobody knew it then, but this meeting would completely change the direction of her life. The two of them formed a connection that felt different from anything either of them had experienced before. Richard Bach believed deeply in the idea of soulmates, people who are meant to find each other in this lifetime. And he believed he had found his soulmate in Leslie. In 1981, 8 years after they first met, they finally got married. Richard was so inspired by their relationship that he wrote not one, but 2 books about it. One was called The Bridge Across Forever, and the other was called Simply One. Both books focused heavily on their marriage and his concept of soulmates, finding each other across time. For a while, it seemed like Leslie had found her real-life fairy tale, a love story so powerful, it became best-selling literature that millions of people around the world read and believed in. Readers everywhere fell in love with the idea that Leslie and Richard were proof that soulmates were real. But real life doesn't always follow the story written in a book. After 18 years of marriage, in 1999, Leslie and Richard got divorced. The couple who had been used as the ultimate example of soulmates finding each other, the couple whose love story sold thousands of copies in bookstores, could not stay together in real life. Details about why their marriage ended were never fully shared publicly. Leslie, who had always valued her privacy, chose not to speak in detail about what happened between them. After the divorce, she stepped further away from public life. She moved to a remote area in Washington state on an island called Orcas Island, where she spent years creating a large wildlife sanctuary to protect the natural habitat there. She continued to care deeply about causes bigger than herself, just like she had done for decades. She lived quietly away from Hollywood, away from cameras, and away from the story that once made her famous as one half of a soulmate couple. In late 2025, Leslie Parrish passed away at the age of 90. Her stepdaughter confirmed the news to the public, and tributes poured in remembering her acting career, her activism, and her lasting impact on environmental causes. But behind all of that, her real story was always about love, about finding it, believing in it completely, building an entire piece of literature around it, and then watching it end quietly, just like everything else in her private life. Leslie Parrish's story reminds us that even the most famous love stories, the ones written into best-selling books, don't always have a happy ending. Sometimes the real story is far more complicated and far more human than anything written on a page.